life as a favourite to Henry isn't all hunting and partying. In 1513 I was sent with Thomas Howard, 3rd Duke of Norfolk, to demand the Great Seal from my dear old friend Cardinal Wolsey. I can tell you that was not easy. The following year, commanded by the King, I had the distasteful task of overseeing the dismissal of Queen Katherine's household, a duty I found abhorrent. 1533 was a year I recall with mixed emotion. I was made High Steward in charge of organising Anne Boleyn's coronation. Too distracted by the enormity of the task, it being Queen Zilla Anne's way or the highway, I failed to be at my dear Mary's bedside as she lay dying. The coronation dominated my life to such an extent that I also missed her funeral. Although strange as it is to you, this was the norm. Now, please do not judge me by your 21st century values. As demonstrated by it to be customary not to attend a loved one's funeral, you must remember these were very different times. 3 months later, I wed my ward, my son's betrothed, the 14-year-old Katherine Willoughby. Another unpalatable duty came in 1542, when following her alleged indiscretions, it fell to me to arrest and facilitate a confession from the young Catherine Howard. The King would have a fallow time in terms of wives until the following spring, when he spotted a rather attractive twice widowed lady in his daughter Mary's household, the Lady Latimer, Catherine Parr. Talking of wives, I have to own up to a rather chequered marital history, almost on a par, no pun intended, with Henry. Now, try and keep up. I was sort of betrothed to the daughter of the late Sir Anthony Brown, Anne, but found myself wed to the widow Margaret Neville. 1507, this marriage was declared void. The following year, a bachelor again, I wed said Anne Brown in a secret ceremony. We had 2 daughters, Anne, born in 1507, therein lies the reason for my previous annulment, and Mary in 1510. The following year I was widowed. Then I was contracted to Elizabeth Grey in 1513, where I acquired the title Viscount Lyon. This contract was later cancelled. Then there was that muted diplomatic marriage with Margaret of Savoy, though that came to nothing. As for offspring, I fared quite a bit better than my friend Henry. 7 children in total, 3 sons and 4 daughters, 2 from my second wife, 3 from Mary Tudor, my third, and Catherine Willoughby, my 4th wife, gave me 2 strapping boys. Allegedly, there were 3 others from discreet liaisons. Now, could you follow that? If not, I suggest you rewind and listen again. Oh, just finally on the complexities of my marital arrangements, there was a bit of a legal technicality relating to my first marriage, which required a papal bull to tidy it up in 1528. Otherwise, yes, I think that's about it. Not that you would think I had the time, given what I just said. I was active in the service of king and country, leading our troops in war against the French on more than one occasion. When not on the battlefield, though, I was never far from Henry's side. He relied heavily on my counsel. I supported his vision for the redistribution of the previously hidden wealth during the dissolution of the monasteries, for which I was well rewarded. May 1545. This was the beginning of my end. We were alerted to the French amassing their naval forces. By July, word reached Henry that the French fleet had assembled in the Seine estuary. We readied our fleet. Henry and the court made for Portsmouth. The French were spotted on the Sussex coast on the 18th of July, reaching the Solent on the 19th. Henry watched helplessly from Southsea Castle. With no wind, the odds were stacked against us. Then his flagship, the Mary Rose, turned to re-engage the enemy. She caught a gust of wind, causing her to list to an unrecoverable angle. It took just minutes for her to disappear under the water. She was the only casualty, but a significant one, and the loss of almost everyone on board, so close to the shore, made it all the more tragic. With both sides in deadlock, the French retreated after 5 days. Despite the victory, Henry was distraught, and he could not reconcile the loss of his beloved Mary Rose, nor indeed the loss of so many good men. As a military commander, I gave him assurance that all efforts would be put into refloating her by the 7th of August. I realised too late that I had overpromised. Work started in earnest on the 3rd of August, using the best Venetian salvage experts. For 2 days the team toiled, managing only to snap off her masts. By the 15th of August I had to admit defeat. All hope of salvaging her abandoned. I had devoted my life in faithful service of my king and dear friend, so it was with a heavy heart I gave him the bad news. He was not impressed. Having put everything into raising his flagship, the stress of the failure proved too much. Extremely ill, I retired to my home and into the care of my wife Katherine. Within the week I'd suffered a fatal heart attack, reaching 61, a good innings by Tudor standards. Such was the love Henry had for me, his aide, advisor, lifelong friend and brother-in-law, he funded my burial at Windsor in St George's Chapel. Just one point, had I succeeded in raising the Mary Rose, she would have faded into history instead of becoming the time capsule of life in Tudor England she is today.